Are you overwhelmed by the challenge of personalizing communication for thousands of students? That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. From nudging prospective students to guiding those already on their journey, AI assistants don't just automate, they write, build, and optimize every step of your digital campaigns. Discover how at element451.com/AI team.
Welcome to Mastering the Next, a cutting-edge podcast that explores the future of graduate, online, and non-traditional education through the lens of AI and technology. I'm your host, Dr. Ray Lutsky, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Element 451. Join me for discussions with some of the thought leaders shaping the future of graduate enrollment management through technology. Mastering the Next is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform that helps institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Thilla Sivakumaran, Vice President for TXST Global at Texas State University. With a rapidly changing landscape in global education, Dr. Sivakumaran will share insights into the innovative strategies Texas State Global is using to expand their online program reach and enhance access for learners. Join us as we explore what's next for Texas State Global and how they're positioning themselves at the forefront of innovative higher education. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Sivakumaran.
Good pleasure to join you. Thank you for inviting me.
So what's next for Texas State Global's growth and expanding access for learners?
I think we've taken two approaches. One is the online approach, which is for adult learners, where we see a lot of potential for our growth. We've launched in the fall and the spring a total of combined 40 programs, both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And next fall, we'll actually even venture into joining doctoral programs online. We're slated to, I think, launch 3 or 4 programs next fall online that are doctorate level. And so that's one approach we have to provide access for adult learners who are working or landlocked and don't have the time or access to come to a campus to take classes. The other thing that we're doing is working with 2-year institutions in the state of Texas to offer 4-year degrees on their campus so the students can stay local but get a Texas State degree rather than coming all the way down to San Marcos or Round Rock. So we just signed the agreement, and we're starting in the spring with Collin College up in McKinney and Allen, Texas, for 4 programs starting this spring. And then next fall, we'll add several more to that.
That's incredible. And it's a huge scope, especially across the state of Texas, just serving learners in different communities and globally. So I imagine as you've built this, there must have been some challenges to overcome, some obstacles. So what have some of those challenges been in building Texas State Global in today's higher education landscape, particularly regionally?
I think for us, it was just the newness of doing online, accelerated online with an OPM. We, at Texas State, they've had online degrees structured in a 16-week format with 3 start dates or 2 start dates. So coming in and changing that and changing the application process, changing the course structure, the internal workings was the most complex part because they hadn't done it. And we really had a very short runway. By the time we did an RFP and got the contract signed, it was January, and we're talking about a fall launch. And you need 90 days in the market, and you're trying to change an entire ecosystem that's not used to the entire the structure of an 8-week classes, getting faculty buy-in to launch programs, which actually remarkably was the easiest part of this whole process, was getting faculty buy-in, which I thought coming in would be the hardest, but it was actually the other way around. Faculty were excited about putting their programs online, the potential of growing their degree programs, as long as we gave resources to them. So that really was the easiest part. And we had some wonderful faculty at Texas State and department chairs and deans who were really like, but actually I felt like I was trying to catch up to them because they wanted to start sooner. And I was like, wait, you gotta, let me sign the contract. Let me get all the, workings in the back area taken care of, creating campus codes, creating new degree programs, coordinating board approval, SACS approval. So, and then getting an OPM and getting that going. So it was a complete change in about 6 months that we had to do. And our timeline was rushed. So we were supposed to launch all 40 at one time this fall. We ended up launching half of it and half of it in the spring.
That's an incredible lift. And I mean, it's just the scope of it all, the size of the programs, getting your faculty engaged, moving in the direction of building asynchronous programs. I'm curious, as you went through this process, as you were imagining it, do your RFP process and putting it together, how did you imagine differentiating Texas State Global in what is becoming a more competitive online education market? What were some of the things you were looking at doing to ensure success?
I think for us, the brand was, Texas State is a well-known brand in the state of Texas. So that really helped. That was key for us. There was enough market share in the state of Texas for everybody. So that helped. And then differentiating, I wanted to make the process for the student as hassle-free as possible. The application process, the admissions, and then the financial aid or bill payment, kind of make that as seamless or as easy as possible, because 80% of the students go to the university that admits them first. And so I kind of wanted to make sure that we had that structure down internally, so the students didn't feel burdened or hassled or spending so much time when they have work, family, and that's right, they're trying to get admitted to a university. We also had conversations with program coordinators and faculty about what's important to these students, what they look for. So you ask, for example, 3 letters of reference. Well, can that be 3 reference contacts? And if you want to contact them, you can. So just not getting rid of those admission standards, but making them more efficient and streamlined. So it's not like you're waiting for 3 people to complete reference letters and mailing them or sending them back in and then admitting the students, right? And so trying to streamline those processes was the way we approached it. And then the second part was building exceptional classes. So we sent our instructional designers last fall to get trained, make sure that they were highly qualified to work with the faculty to help them build classes, so that there was a commonality between degree programs classes, the same template, same locations for everything, so that the student doesn't have to spend time on those things, but rather can focus on their classes. And then also offering the right degree programs, right? Everybody, people may want to put their programs online, but it may not be in demand, or it may not be something that is going to have large enrollment. So finding the right program. So this spring, we're launching several education, the nursing, and then the business portfolio. Those were the main keys that we looked at.
Really checking all the boxes and thinking about making it easy for the learner, high quality, convenient, the highest priority, most in-demand programs, and then using best-in-class technology to deliver all of that. I'm curious, on the topic of technology, if it's kind of on everyone's mind in higher ed, but if artificial intelligence has ever come into these conversations about the learning experience at Texas State Global, or what it might look like in the future.
Right now, it's coming from a faculty perspective of how to prevent students from using artificial intelligence to cheat in classes. And that's, I think, going across the country, not just at Texas State, but even for on-campus classes, people are using ChatGPT to write their papers or just different mechanisms. So we actually have a committee that is looking at what tools that can be available to faculty to detect that the students are, this was used by a student to write the paper instead of them writing themselves. And then what else are policy in terms of consequences of using artificial intelligence to do your own work, right? And so right now, that's what we're focused on. Eventually, we would like to get to where creating content for faculty can be done using artificial intelligence videos and those type of things. We took baby steps. I wanted to make sure that going from faculty who never taught online to some faculty who have taught 16 weeks, making sure that they were comfortable teaching at their 8-week format. That was my main priority. And so once I could get a foundation for them done, then it's easy for me to say, okay, hey, have you thought about trying this tool? And this may help you create a better video, for your class or those kind of things.
It's a lot of change all at once, but
yes.
Clearly you're at the leading edge of innovation here. So I had to ask about that. And sort of switching gears a bit and going back to something you said about the demand. There are a lot of schools that will put programs out there just because a faculty member really wants it. And there's sort of this field of dreams mentality that if I build the program, we will get students. But it sounds like what you're doing is focusing more on the areas where employment is going to be a big part of that. So I'm curious how you're addressing any specific employer needs or things you're hearing from the regional workforce or the state of Texas that we're addressing these future workforce demands with what we're doing at TXST Global.
You get the basics, obviously, the business portfolio, the business education and the health profession portfolio in the state of Texas and over across the country. Nursing is their biggest in demand, if you want to say, for an online program. So we're launching the RN to BSN, and then we're going to launch the MSN in the fall, and then actually a DNP at some point down the line. And then we'll have discussions about a accelerated or a bachelor's in nursing online program. A lot depends on how faculty feel about that, if they're ready for it. So baby step in everything and getting them comfortable and seeing if they're on board with it. I don't like forcing people to do things because it's a miserable experience for both sides, right? They're not thrilled about it, and your staff suffer because they're just angry that they're being made to do this. So we also management it's another thing that we look at. So engineering management, the MBA, construction management. So those levels where people have graduated, but now they want to move up. So we have those degrees. And then we're starting to work on some technical degrees to address workforce needs in the areas of information technology, data analytics, maybe even AI. So we're looking to do those degrees. We're in the works on that. And then, there's, I believe somebody said 4 million people in the state of Texas who have some college credit, but don't have a completed degree. So we have degree programs like the Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Science that can be brought as a technical with prior learning. And then we also have a general studies degree that's a completed degree that students can do. So we had that also, so that you could get a degree and then kind of move up in the leadership ladder, or you could then go into a graduate program to get a master's in like old leadership or those fields, or the MBA even.
So important to address that population of learners with some college but no degree. And it is a criticism of higher education that we have a lot of focus on getting folks to enroll, and then getting them to finish is sort of this mystery. So I'm curious what strategies you're putting in place or thinking about to enhance student retention and success in the online programs you're building.
I think advising is key. So for graduate programs have pretty good retention rate because just the nature of it is a career tied to it. So they want to get that degree and move up the career ladder. The undergraduate degree has more credit hours, a little bit more complex for students. So advising is key to that. And then also managing their load. So for example, at the undergraduate level, we typically say 2 classes per 8-week term. So you're not taking 3 classes or 4 classes and then just ending up dropping them, right? It's a disservice to a student to just say, hey, take 12 classes, 12 hours in an 8-week term. They can't manage that. So we try to limit students to 2 per term, 2 per 8-week term. which is then manageable. We find 80% of the students at the graduate level take about 80%, one per term, which is very manageable. So just advising them to take the right courses or sequence the right courses. That's key for us. And then also work with our faculty to design the courses that are very meaningful to the students. So it's not just busy work, but it's like tied to, and especially at the graduate level, tied to something that they're doing in their job, right? And so that's really helpful. So our criminal justice program, I love their master's program. They went out and every class in their master's program is taught by somebody who's out in the field, I believe. And so it's real world experience, current experience being brought back into the classroom and being taught to the students who are also working. As you know, a majority of the students who are in the online environment have a full-time or part-time job. So
I want to ask for those listening who have considered working with an OPM to help them expand online programs. You've got a lot of great experience at multiple institutions building these kinds of model online programs, working with a private partner. What advice or suggestions would you give to a senior leader at another institution who's considering this, thinking about, well, how would I go about building this with a partner? How would I select an OPM? What advice would you give them just from your experience and knowledge?
I would do my research. I would do my homework and talk to, even before you put the RFP, I would do a research and just have conversations with the different OPMs. There are a lot of literature out there. People have done studies about OPMs. I personally think they get a bad rap. Some are, great and some are not so great, but it's the nature of the business. So I would take my time to find the OPM that fits you, that you're comfortable with. During the RFP process, you could definitely ask a lot of questions, have them do a demo, talk to other institutions that have used them. And then once you select one of the key questions in the selection process is, some OPMs will tell you the price point is too low. Can you increase it? All that stuff. For me, that really is a negative sign, because this is the price point that my university is comfortable with, and this is the price point that it's best for the population that we serve. So I definitely don't want to increase it and then create a lot more issues for my students. So that is a key. And then talk to partner institutions that have used the OPMs and really sit down and have a conversation with them about how things have worked, what went wrong, what went right. The biggest mistake I find that institutions make when they hire an OPM is they don't, like, we signed an OPM, but then we went to each program and asked, without the OPM, we went and asked each program, do you want to put it online? We have a flow chart that clearly differentiates the roles and responsibilities of the OPM, TXST Global, and the faculty and the department. So there's an academic side. What are they responsible for? It clearly denotes that the OPM, what it does, and what we do. And so it's very transparent. And then we let the faculty and the program decide if they want to go with the OPM or not. Where people get in trouble is they sign the contract and then they pressure a department to put the program online. I've been rejected many times in my previous institution by degree programs. And even here, there are certain programs that we had great conversations with. And at the end of the day, they shouldn't feel comfortable. And we said, that's great. We're good with that. We'll work with some other people. And sometimes it's painful because some of the degrees that you really want to put online will say no. And you just have to have conversations about why the answer is no, and then kind of work with them. And it typically comes down to resources. Some of it is just purely subjective. I don't want to work with a third party vendor because of the bad reputation that OPMs have gotten over time. I have enjoyed working with OPMs. I think they bring something to the table that I think a lot of people don't get, is that I don't have enough money to do a marketing campaign. Throughout the state of Texas, I don't have money to do that massive marketing campaign. An OPM will do that for you. You don't have to pay them till the student pays you. Whereas if you went to a marketing firm, you have to pay them regardless if they generate a single student for you, right? So you may pay $1 million, but you may only end up with 5 students, but you still have to pay that $1 million. Where in the OPM world, that's not the way it works. Where they could spend $1 million, but we don't have to pay them till a student pays us. And I think that's something that gets lost in the conversation, is that we as a university cannot compete with other universities to have an OPM without one. I can't compete with Arizona State, the juggernaut these days. The OPM will help me at least be in the game.
Thank you for that. That's really great insight. And kind of closing out our conversation, looking ahead, what are the biggest opportunities you see on the horizon for Texas State Global? You're building this incredible enterprise. You're putting all the pieces in place. What's it going to look like in 5 or 10 years?
I think we really want to be global. And so how do we take our degree online to different countries, whether it's in a different language or whether it's in a hybrid format? But having the online program as an umbrella allows me to take it to different countries and work with partner institutions to offer a hybrid program where you could get 2 degrees, or where we could say, okay, you know what, we don't have to offer the entire degree in a different location. We could offer some of it online, some of it on campus. So it's a mix and match kind of deal. And so that's kind of where, we're going to add more degrees, obviously, to our online portfolio, and then more concentrations to kind of bury that, portfolio, but then also use the online degrees to set up how we could be international about that.
And we look forward to seeing your great success. Dr. Thilla Sivakumaran, Vice President for Texas State Global. So thrilled to speak with you.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you.
The Mastering the Next podcast is a part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions professionals find their next big idea, and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Artis Cadieux, J.C. Bonilla, Mallory Wilsey, Brendan Henkel, Brian Gross, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.